right, third graders, we are going to be measuring to the nearest half inch today by using a ruler. Please pay close attention because we had a number of people making mistakes yesterday. So please, please, please rewatch this video if you need to. Okay, so this is a ruler and it has two sides to it. I went over this with you yesterday. The side with more numbers on it and many more little lines, that is centimeters. And the other side is inches. The inches is the side that we want to pay attention to, and usually they are labeled. This is a ruler that has actually been cut in half, and it's just showing you the side, the inches side that we want to pay attention to. All right, so the half ruler explanation. Each of the inches is split into two sections, so each distance is half of an inch. This might remind you of fractions. So between 4 and 5 would be 4 and a half, okay? And then let's look at the other arrow between the 7 and the 8. It says this is the halfway point between the two distances of 7 and 8. So what would be between 7 and 8? It would be 7 and a half. Okay. All right, here is measuring half on a ruler. So you can see the first notch is between the 3 and the 4 with the green arrow. That is 3 and a half. The next one would be between the 4 and the 5. That is 4 and a half. The following one between the 5 and the 6 is 5 and a half. Between 6 and 7 is 6 and a half. Between 7 and 8 is 7 and a half. And between 8 and 9 is 8 and a half. All right, here we're looking at a chocolate chip cookie. Now remember from yesterday, we always have to look, does it start at 0? In this case, it does. So we just start at 0, and then we need to look to see where it ends. And you can always do the hopping method if you need to as well. Well, if I look at the end of my chocolate chip cookie, it looks to be between 3 and 4. Well, what half inch would be between 3 and 4? That is correct. It would be 3 and a half. Let's move on to the spoon. Does it start on 0? Yes, it does. You need to continuously ask yourself that question. So I'm going to look at the very end of it, and it looks to be between the 6 and the 7. What half inch is between the 6 and the 7? That is correct. It is 6 and a half. Okay, let's look at another example. Here is our worm that we had yesterday as well. Now remember to ask yourself that question. Does it start at 0? Yes, it does. So look at the end of the worm. It looks to be between the 4 and the 5. So what half inch would it be? That is correct. It is 4 and a half. Sometimes the item you are measuring doesn't line up with the 0 mark. We know that from yesterday. So then what do we do? Okay, so I want to point out the same rules that we looked at yesterday. Now we're not going to look at this eraser because this is actually going to the nearest inch and not the nearest half inch. But we're going to look at the steps to figure out measurement on the right hand side because they're the same steps that we used yesterday that we're going to be using today. So number 1, figure out the starting measure. Number 2, figure out the ending measure. And number 3, you're going to take that larger number and you're going to subtract it from the smaller number. Okay? Same concept. So if you did well on your assignment yesterday, you should do well today. And if you happen to not do as well yesterday, I'm hoping that this video will help you get better at it today because it's a little bit of a repeat. All right, we're looking at this computer mouse. Okay, now my first question would be, does it start at 0? And my answer is no. So because it does not start at 0, we want to look at where it starts. And I see it starts at the 3. Look at where it ends. And it looks to be between the 8 and the 9. Okay? But because it's between the 8 and the 9, I want to use my whole numbers, and then I can add in that half at the very end. So again, on the one side, on the left side, it's a 3. On the right side, we're going to say it's an 8. Okay? So you're going to do 8 minus 3, which is what? That is correct, 5. And then you're going to put that half next to your whole number. So the answer would be 5 and a half. Okay? Now, if you don't like to subtract, or you have realized that you're just not the best at it, then you can also do your jumps. So start at the 3, 3 to 4, 1, 4 to 5, 2, 5 to 6, 3, 6 to 7, 4, 7 to 8, 5, and then your half. So it still would be 5 and a half. Now, whichever way works best for you, do it. You don't have to subtract if you don't want to. If you would rather do the jumps, then you can do that instead. I was trying to see if I could get to my marker or pen or highlighter or something, but it looks like it is covered up right now. So we will just keep going. All right, this is a harmonica. The first question I want to ask, does it start at 0? And the answer is no. So on the left-hand side, it looks like it starts at a 3. On the right-hand side, it's between the 8 and, between the 9 and the 10. So I know that's where my half is going to come in. Okay, now I can only subtract my whole numbers. So I want to do 9 minus 3, and then I'll add in my half at the end. So what is 9 minus 3? That is correct. It is 6. And then you want to put in your half next to your whole number, so it would be 6 and a half. Now, if you don't want to subtract, you can jump. So let's start at 3. So 3 to 4, 4 to 5, 5 to 6, 6 to 7, 7 to 8, 8 to 9, and then your half. Okay, I was moving my fingers as I was counting, and I had 6 fingers up, and then with my half, it would still be 6 and a half. Okay? All right, moving on to the eraser. What's my first question? That is correct. Does it start at 0? And the answer is no. So because it doesn't start at 0, we need to do one of our ways. Okay? So on the one end, it's at a 2. On the other end, on the right-hand side, it's between the 5 and the 6. So that's where we're going to add in our half. Now, I can subtract 5 minus 2, which is what? That is correct, 3, and added my half, so my answer is 3 and a half. Or I can do my jumps. 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5, and then add my half. Okay, and every single jump that you make, you can do a tally mark, you can put a finger up, or you can just do it with a marker, a pen, a pencil, and that would work just as well. Okay, you might want to use, because you're going to be looking at your computer, you might want to do it with the eraser actually, and do your jumps with the eraser and count that way. All right, we have a couple more. Here is a marker. What's my first question? That is correct. It does not start at 0. Okay, so I need to do one of my 2 ways. So here I'm going to start with my jumps. So it looks like on one end, it starts at 1. On the other end, it's between the 8 and the 9. So there's where my half is. Okay, so I'm going to start at 1, and I'm going to keep jumping. Okay, 1 to 2, and I'm putting my fingers up. 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5, 5 to 6, 6 to 7, 7 to 8. What did you get? I got 7, and then we want to add in our half. So this marker is 7.5 inches long. Now, if you don't want to do the jumps, you can do what? That is correct. You can do 8 minus 1, and you get 7, and then add in your half. So it still would be 7.5. You get the same answer no matter which way you do. Okay, last one is this pair of scissors. Okay, what's my question? Does it start at 0? And the answer is no. Okay, so I can do my jumps or I can subtract. I don't know which way you prefer, so I'm going to obviously be doing both. Let's start with our jumps. Okay, get your fingers ready. We're starting at the 2 and going until the end of the scissors. 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5, 5 to 6, 6 to 7. Okay, I'm towards the end. I have 5 fingers up, but I have to add in my half. So I got 5.5 with my jumps. I'm going to check it by doing my subtraction. So remember, I'm starting at the 2, and on the other end, it's between the 7 and the 8, so I know that's where my half is. So I'm going to do 7 minus 2, which is 5, and then add in my half. I still got 5.5, no matter which way I did. Okay? Now, while I have you here, before I give you your assignment, we are going to count together on this whole ruler. Now, on this ruler, there is no 0, so we have to pretend like it's there. And there is no 12, so we also have to pretend that's there. Okay, let's start on the very far left-hand side, and we're just going to skip count by halves. Okay, so the first notch would be a half, then 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5, 5, 5.5, 6, 6.5, 7, 7.5, 8, 8.5, 9, 9.5, 10, 10.5, 11, 11.5, and 12. Now, if you want to go and rewind it a little bit and skip count and count that one more time, that would probably be fantastic. Okay? All right, your assignment for today is going to obviously be in Google Classroom under the classwork tab. Okay? You are going to have slides and you're going to complete the missing. You're going to complete, yeah, that's correct. I don't know why I'm just reading it incorrectly. Complete the missing to the nearest half-inch slides. Okay? Please, please, please rewatch this video if you need to. You can do your hops and or jumps and or subtract. But remember, you're doing it to the half-inch today. Yesterday, you did it to the 1 inch. Okay? Do your best.